Welcome back to Behind the Boost. Today, I'm joined by Jarrell Hibler, founder of Premier Marketing out of Charlotte, North Carolina. From building websites to building a brand, Jarrell shares how growing up in a military family, competing as a national champion athlete, and pivoting from e-commerce shaped a marketing business rooted in fundamentals. Let's jump in. Welcome to Behind the Boost. Jarrell, I'm excited to speak with you. Give me a brief intro about who you are.
Yeah, name is Jarrell, founder of Premier Marketing. We're located here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Started up the agency about 4 to 5 years ago, but was really a accidental move. Was originally in the e-commerce space, started off there, and then ended up needing to do marketing. And at that point, that's when things kind of shifted, started to see, hey, marketing's a good space. I like it. I'm also somewhat decent at it. Started off doing website designs, and since then, now we've grown into a full service agency.
How cool is that? I think what's cool about it is you found, I feel like good, successful adults and children are ones that are flexible enough to identify where they belong, right? How did you get stuck into marketing, though, when that wasn't your original plan?
Yeah, my degree, I guess, that I went to 4 years of college for and paid a lot of money for, that was originally I was pre-PT, so physical therapy. So I was more in the math science space always, and was, like I said, trying to go into physical therapy. So I graduated with a kinesiology, exercise sports science degree. So no business, no marketing side, but what got me to help was obviously at first was a bunch of free courses, and eventually ended up going into paid courses, paid mentorships, stuff like that. So that was kind of my fast track to learning about digital marketing as a whole, was going through a bunch of different people that already knew the space pretty well at that point.
That's really cool. And I think, I went to school for art, right? My passion has always been, how do I make this look completely different or random? And how do I find a way to relate that to current events? But one thing that provides for my family has always been marketing, right? My father was in sales, and I was able to say, what if I were to do this and help support some of these other people with creative ideas and getting found, right? And that's ultimately what marketing is a form of art, in my opinion. So you talked about building websites. What CMS did you start on, and where are you currently at?
Started on Squarespace, which, yeah, I know. So I started on Squarespace. Now we're WordPress, but we're familiar with a lot of other tools, whether it's going to be things like Webflow. But WordPress, I would say, would be 90%. We've got a few e-commerce that's Shopify based as well. But like I said, 90% would be WordPress.
That is cool. And WordPress is a cumbersome beast, right? There are so many varieties of themes, plugins. How are you making sure, number one, that your customers, after you've launched their website, that they're able to keep in touch with their plugins, making sure that they're updating it, which is a huge deal. Mm-hmm. And also, themes can go through updates and various versions. How are you making sure you're not messing up there?
Learning path for sure. We've definitely made our fair share of mistakes. So obviously, once we kind of figure out, hey, we made a mistake, make sure we put a SOP in place to ensure that doesn't happen again. Past the learning curve at this point is just going to be routine checkups that we do kind of go through and make sure that everything is good to go on that front. But obviously, we had to kind of learn our mistakes from the start, where obviously the first launch of a website, especially with WordPress or plugin updates, they weren't easy. And a lot of times it was bad when a client's the one that's finding out, hey, why is this down on my website? Then we go check up on it and it's down, and we're like, we should have probably pointed that out earlier. Yeah. So at this point, it's just routine checkups, different softwares, different people who kind of just go through and just check it on a basis. But the easiest thing would do is just not to have the auto updates on.
What are the current services that you guys are providing?
Our 5 core services are starting off with the branding. We're a big component on getting the foundation established first. So brand building, website, SEO, PPC, and social media. Obviously, from there, the growth curve could kind of depend, but starting off with branding the website, those two are going to be the big things that we want to be striving to make sure that's in place rather than trying to grow from there without branding or website put into place.
I really like that. I absolutely love it. Often when we're running into these businesses and a lot of marketing companies, there's always this shiny new object in front of them, whether or not it's a new piece of technology or it's a crazy new software, or somebody's just only focusing on the newest trends on TikTok. But there's some crazy things, and people end up having 50 or 60 different services that they provide, but they're not good at the actual core. And I love the idea of having that core. What are some achievements that you guys have made that you're really proud of?
I think a big thing that we do separate ourselves on is going to be trying to help our clientele find kind of their unique selling point in a way. And again, I know that's a very overutilized word here, but what I mean by that would be trying to find your different. So essentially it could be a business, because again, I'm not going to say that we're the only agency out here in Charlotte, North Carolina, but it's going to be finding what makes us different. A big piece of it is going to be, again, the stigma with marketing, where a lot of people don't like working with marketing agencies because they've had a bad experience.
Yeah.
So what is it that we could do to be able to find our differentiator in that big space? And same thing with any other business, whether it's home services, whether it's medical, legal, any other profession. Again, trying to help them find their differentiator to stand out from the crowd or be able to find that unique selling point is what we help to do and what we make kind of stand out with our clients.
Why do you think that's important? Why do you think that's a core fundamental?
At the end of the day, people like to do business with people they like. People are very people-oriented. They don't connect with the business themselves or the company. They connect with the people who, whether they started it up. That's why right now in social media, we're seeing so much of that creator economy start up. We're seeing so many creators also start up companies. And with that, they're able to get to that first $1 million goal very quickly because they already built up the following and have that foundation put into place. So that's why I believe just trying to have that component understood or figured out would just be able to help to just grow and scale.
I agree. I mean, that is so important, right? Because everybody, if this was 10 years ago, not everybody could be found online. If this were 5 years ago, it's on that cusp, right? We're still learning, we're not having to define SEO as much, right? Now, everybody knows what SEO is. It is a fundamental. Mm-hmm. And you need to make sure that you can capture somebody's understanding of what they want to present on their business quick. We're talking seconds rather than 30 seconds, right? You need 5 to 6 seconds to say, this is what we do and why we do it. And you need to understand the USP that's behind it. Yeah. I love it. How are you staying on top of the SEO game?
Obviously, with Google's big core updates, always got to stay on top of Google, as they're always changing different things between Google Ads, Google My Business, Analytics, Search Console, all that. So always just staying on top of that, all the different tools they have. But now a big part or a big wave now is going to be with AI, obviously. Whether it's ChatGPT, Perplexity, Google AI Overview, they've taken up a little bit of a market share. I still see that across most industries, if not all, that Google's still going to be the primary when you're looking for services or looking for specific things, whether it's a plumber near you or whatever. So Google's still there, but as people are looking at different things, and again, we've gotten inbound leads where people say, I found you on ChatGPT when I was just searching up, again, even if it is a local agency, they still just use that as their primary search engine at this point. So it's always trying to make sure that we're staying ahead of the game. Again, we're still a pretty small company. So our advantage, again, is just going to be we're able to make changes a lot faster than some of the bigger companies where it may take them a little bit to get AI put into their business.
That is very true. Some numbers behind what you're stating, right? Around like 84 to 86 is what I've heard of searches are happening on Google still. You're looking at about like 7% happening in the AI world. Which is good. It's just we need to understand how people are searching on Google compared to on ChatGPT. What I like to explain to customers is with Google, people are looking for a specific transaction. It's transactional or it's informational.
Yeah.
On ChatGPT, it's informational or trying to answer a general, very crazy question, right? So if we're looking at a marketing company like a pest control company, hey, what should I be looking at with this specific season in my area for these types of bugs? Rather than I need pest control in Charlotte, right? It's completely, I love it. It's getting nerdy and you need to make sure that you're prepared for it. But also, you can't just change your whole everything that you're doing marketing wise just because, there's some AI things coming out. You need to make sure that you've got the fundamentals. Now, tell me about yourself, man. Where'd you grow up?
Military brat, so grew up all over. Hard to call one place home. So was born in San Diego, but the three main areas I lived in or grew up in was going to be between San Diego, Hawaii, and Japan.
That's beautiful. My father was a military brat, and he would always talk about, I didn't want you guys to move growing up, and we always stayed in one town, Castle Rock, Colorado. But he was in, I think, he was in Wyoming, he was in Virginia, he was in Spain and Alaska. Well, how did that turn you into you?
I would say it's a big part of what helped me turn into me, both the good and the bad. So a lot of it was just going to be dealing with, from a young age, obviously dealing with making good friends and then having to move every few years or so. So adaptability, change, all those things are things that's just second nature, in my viewpoint. Obviously, with people going to things like college or having a big change in their career or their life, that's where, again, a lot of people can break down. But things like that is where, again, just being comfortable in the uncomfortable has been more of an effect for me, since that's something I grew up with. Past that, I would say a big piece would also be discipline. It's part of what shifted me to who I am as a business owner today. Is, again, a lot of these effects that do come in being a military brat and growing up in that kind of environment.
Yeah. How is that? Like growing up, is it sometimes do you move to a military base or something? Pardon my ignorance, because it is going to be so strong here.
Yeah.
Do you sometimes end up meeting up with kids that you were like, oh, you're at this other base that I was just at?
Yep. So in Japan, a lot of times, we lived both on base and off base there, because I lived there for two separate times, 3 years each. The first 3 years I was younger and we lived on base. The second 3 years we lived off base, but it was like a mile away from the base. And with that, majority of the kids was through that DODS program, Department of Defense Education. And a lot of them, again, they ended up traveling back and forth. One of my good friends I did end up meeting over in Japan as well, from middle school. Then we went through high school together, and his dad and my dad ended up moving to the same military base over in Virginia. So we went from Japan to Virginia together. And when we first got there, everyone thought we were brothers, even though we didn't look alike, just because we both came at the same time from Japan.
Dude, that's so sweet. How is the Japanese culture? I've always wanted to go there.
Everyone who's gone, everyone has loved it, said it's either in their number one top country that they visited or it's in their top three. So highly recommend going there if you haven't.
Man, food, is it great? Is it as good as they say?
It's the best. I think they're, don't fact check me on this, but I think that they've got the most Michelin star restaurants out of any other country in like the top 10 or top 20 list. They have the most.
Dang. That's tough. You know that feeling? I don't know. You probably do, but I travel a lot for work. And something that's frustrating for me is when I find a good restaurant. Does not make sense why I'd say this, but when you find a good restaurant and you know you're not going to have that restaurant for a very long time, if not ever again, that's the part that kills me, right? Where you get a Turkish breakfast in the middle of Dubai, you're like, I'm never going to have this again, but it is so amazing. It's just a frustrating thing for me.
It is a little bit. I definitely understand that feeling. I've had some of the best food in Japan over there, and it's like, oh man, it doesn't feel the same, or it doesn't taste the same when you eat the same kind of similar dish to it. You always compare it to that best thing. I do the same thing. I lived in Hawaii, then I came to Virginia or North Carolina, and I check out the beaches over there, and same thing. It's like, oh, the beach is great over here, but once you live in Hawaii, have the nice beach, you get a little spoiled.
Yeah, absolutely spoiled. I love that. Now, tell me, we work with a lot of marketing agencies. If I were to say, some of the most common objections or frustrations that marketing agencies are coming through right now are, where am I going to get my next customer? That's one. Two, how am I going to make sure that I'm better than my competition that's in the local area that I'm constantly going up against? I'd love to know what you're doing with those two scenarios.
Yeah. So on the local business side of things, I would say it all kind of boils down to their clientele or their customer base, I guess. So figuring out, everyone's wanting to be on all these different platforms, whether it's all the social media platforms, which now there's like 5+ different ones. And there's Google, obviously. And so it's just really trying to identify just one at a time, which is why we really like to just focus first on just one. Again, if they've got a budget, but again, if we're talking local small businesses, they probably don't have that budget. So that's why I rather focus on what's going to be the best return, because Facebook might be a great return there where your cost per lead is $10, but Google might be even better where you could get cost per lead at $5. So let's say if you only have $1,000 budget or even less, let's focus all that energy and budget towards Google first, rather than trying to focus on Google, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and diversify. Diversifying is good at a later stage, but in the very beginning, I'd say is just strictly focusing on what's going to be the best first.
I like that. And it is correct. It's the same thing, right? Making sure that you've got the fundamentals. Now, the second question, what are you doing against your local marketing, and what is your USP that you're trying to get, beat them out of there?
Yeah. So I would say some of our top competitors consist of businesses or agencies that work with much larger clientele volume. So we're still not at that capacity. We're starting to work into government contracts and RFPs and do some of those things there to kind of work our way into that market. I would say our market's going to be more on the small and medium sized market right now. So with that, again, our competitive difference is trying to then find our different as well. And so big piece, like you'll even see from starting off with, again, our web design. I would say just off looking at our website, we get a lot of feedback from inbound leads telling us that they liked our website. They think it stood out. It made a lot more sense. So we put a lot of time into the design aspect of it to where it is more customer centric or client centric for them to be able to easily understand when they do come to the website. The other piece is most websites that you do see out there online, not just in the agency space, but they're more so like wider background or lighter theme background. Ours is the complete opposite. It's black background. It's bold. It's going to be different compared to that lighter theme. So everything that we're trying to do is to be able to become that differentiator.
That's cool. What I love to see is people who are helping small businesses step out of their comfort zone and be found for what they actually are. And ultimately, I believe people are going to naturally try and provide the best product. People are naturally going to say, I'm the best in this area because of X, Y, Z. What people aren't normally going to do is think, okay, how do I sell this so that I look different than my competitors when I really am? Mm-hmm. And you're kind of highlighting that, and you're just guiding people to what they really are, which really is beautiful. Did you grow up doing a lot of sports?
I did sports all my life, yes.
Yeah. Tell me what sports you did.
Started off just doing running and then swimming alone. And while in Hawaii, transitioned that over into triathlon. So then ended up picking up 3 sports in one. So swim, bike, run. Most people are very familiar with, obviously, the Ironman that happens in Kona, Hawaii. Yeah. So did that. Ended up kind of stopping that once I went to Japan and just stuck with track and field, cross country, which kickstarted my college career in cross country, track and field. But then I transitioned, and that's when I first moved to Charlotte, North Carolina to start my triathlon career again, which I did over here at Queen's University of Charlotte. And then a year later, our team did win the national championship. And since then, we've won multiple national championships at this point.
Dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. I think what I like about it is anybody that I've spoken to that's really focused on fundamentals usually has some sort of sports background. Mm-hmm. Whether or not if you can't do this exact same thing with your eyes closed or whatever it may be, you're not going to succeed. And I really believe that if we can get these fundamentals to a customer, which I do believe is a website, Google business profile, search engine optimization, and some form of socials, you're going to have a good core dynamic within your area. And if you can have that USP throughout all of that, you've got a pretty freaking sexy product, which I love. I love that. Now, Jarrell, what do you do for fun now? You're this accomplished adult. What do you like to do for fun?
Outside of work, I guess for fun, a big part is just going to be exploring. I'm a big foodie, kind of like what we talked about there earlier. So I am a harsh judge when it comes to food and trying out new restaurants in the area. Outside of food, big outdoors guy. So we got the U.S. National Whitewater Center here that's not too far. So I like going out over there. But anything that involves any kind of activities, ended up hopping on the bandwagon with pickleball, but also still do a lot of running, a little bit of cycling. Haven't really stuck to swimming at this point, but anything that involves the outdoors.
Dude, that's great. That's great. Well, is there anything here where you're like, you know what, Nic, I'd love to say something extra that sets you apart? Is there anything that our listeners should learn about Jarrell?
I don't think so. No, nothing that comes to mind.
Dude, it's been great to speak with you and learn about who you are and what you've become and the marketing team that you've created. I know that just in the way that you are and the way that I speak with people, you'll be successful no matter what because of that flexibility. My father was a military brat, and he created an amazing foundation for his 4 boys. We did not move, and we're all successful. And that's because of the foundation that he created, the fundamentals. When you walk into a room, what do? You say hi to everybody. You shake hands with everybody. When you leave a room, you do the exact same, right? You say yes, sir, no, sir, ma'am, and you make sure that you make the world a better place. And I'm pretty sure you had something similar, and it was great to speak with you.
Awesome. Appreciate the time. Thanks for having me.